This is the panel bit, so we need a bit of interaction. Good morning, conference. Good morning. Brilliant couple of first sessions there. Real privilege to hear from Dana and from Suze and from Tim and from Jane. Fantastic insights. We're going to broaden the angle a little bit now, talking about audiences. My name is Dan. You can see on the board behind, and I'm delighted to be moderating a panel with Alison from YouTube, with Kevin from ITV. You can start to come up. With Karl from Disney and with Rufus from STV. Come onto the stage. Please welcome them. Brilliant. Welcome, folks, to the stage. We have a lot to get through in just 30 minutes. We'll have the countdown clock. In fact, I think we've been docked already down to 25, 23 and a half. We will go fast. Huge topics already covered this morning. Let's talk about content. Let's talk about what audiences want and, crucially, how they find it. So, discovery. We heard from Tim talking about prominence of PSBs. We're used to talking about the EPG. Clearly now in an IP world, there's many routes to content, AI-fueled, right, through recommendations engines, etc. How do you want audiences to find your content? How do they? Alison?
Well, we've been using AI for years to improve the viewer experience. So we have recommendation systems. So when you go onto YouTube, you see it in search and on what's next. So it really helps with discoverability. And that's ultimately helping people find the content they want to watch. So if, for example, you're watching The Assembly on the ITV YouTube channel as well, it will help you after you've watched the Danny Dyer interview to look for more content around Danny Dyer or some of the other episodes as well. So ultimately, it's all sort of based around helping viewers watch the content that they really want to see.
Brilliant. And if we were to ask Karl, how do viewers find your content, both Disney Plus and broader Disney umbrella?
So I think, to start, if customers have to search for our content, we've made a mistake. So the job, if you run a platform, is to commission and curate a set of content which is coherent and makes sense of a consumer, and then use, I think Suzanne described, the art and science of merchandising, which is editorial in nature, marketing to let people who aren't customers know what you've got, combined with the best possible algorithms. And just like YouTube, because we're part of the Walt Disney Company and have tens of millions of customers around the world using Disney+, we're using the very latest algorithms and approaches to ensure that when you do get that blend of merchandising and algorithm, you don't have to search for content. The content comes to find you. You find the great stories you're looking for so that you can make the use of your time most effectively waiting for you.
So part of it's curated and part of it's, I guess, serendipity. And
that's right. But it is a combination, and I really believe this. It's a combination of the art of editorial curation, of understanding what's going to break, what's going to work for who, what's going to work when, combined with the power of the algorithm.
And Kevin, in the kind of ocean of content options that are out there for people, how do audiences find ITV content?
Button 3, that's a good start.
Does that still exist, the button?
Yeah, I think so. It's in my home. I don't know. I suppose, look, we use all the normal tricks and traits of getting people to find our shows, but I think we're probably in a very fortunate position along with the BBC of everybody more or less in the UK kind of knows we exist. They know roughly where we are. We have a way of attracting millions and millions of people every day to come and look at our programmes. And I suppose I'm a bit old school on the sort of if you build it, they will come. And so quite often hits, which is what we're all after really, is come about in a way that we pretend after it's a hit. We knew it was going to be a hit. But they do find it. And I think if you always, when you're in these dilemmas, if you kind of think, what do I do? How did I choose that show I watched last night? It's a number of factors. It is a bit you're being pushed and pulled by algorithms and whatever. But it's a mate at work told me this, or I saw something about it, or people are talking. And so that's why something like Mr. Bates and the Post Office grew so quickly, is because the word of mouth was there. And I think you have to go back to first principles, because all this discussion is based upon the programme itself being worth watching and being good and desirable. So I think that's the key for the major broadcasters, is to never lose sight of making good programmes.
Mm-hmm. And we know that you're a master of finding those hits, Kevin. Audience, we think. audiences, I guess, in terms of their taste, and Rufus, good to bring you in here, in terms of their kind of palates, do we see that evolving? Do you know about a cohort and target for that taste? And how do you serve that both locally and regionally?
Yeah, I mean, well, interesting. If you look at in Scotland, if you look at the top 20 shows in 2017 and you look at the top 20 shows in 2024, 7 of the shows are the same. So there are some, so I think what we also need to remember all the time is how do you build enduring brands that people want? And I think whether it's Strictly, whether it's I'm a Celebrity, these are Vera 2017, 2024 in the top 20 shows. So there are enduring hits. So how do you build those brands that last forever? I think that in the STV world, people love Scottish stories. Kevin commissioned Karen Pirie for ITV, 6 share points higher in Scotland than in the rest of the UK. So regional programming is incredibly important. And last night I came home and I watched on STV Player. I watched a live debate for the Hamilton by-election in Scotland. No one else could do that.
Did anyone else watch that last night? I just want to check. Yep, a couple.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
No. But so regional programs are hard to economically justify, but really, really important to do. And I think viewers demand regional content as well as the big national stories and as well as the global hits as well.
Thank you, Rufus. And I guess across this panel, we've got a hybrid, haven't we, of linear channels, if I can still call that, use that phrase, IP, enabled channels, direct to consumer. How do you think of each other? Maybe I'll come to Karl first. How do you think of each other? How do you support one another? Does the D2C big American, giant have a role to play in nurturing other linear channels?
Well, so I think, first of all, I'd say, if I look across the markets we operate in Europe, the big free-to-air channels still aggregate the largest audiences, have the largest shows, and have the largest production budgets. And that's really important. So we're also part of that. We operate linear channels in 28 markets across Europe, and they are an important and sustainable part of our business. Now, to your question as to how do we work with free-to-airs, because free-to-airs aggregate the largest audiences and have the largest production budgets, it's really important we do work with free-to-airs. So we license content to free-to-airs. We license content from free-to-airs. We have co-production agreements in place with most of the large free-to-air broadcasters across Europe. In Spain and in the Nordics, the paid BVOD platforms actually sell Disney+. We're delighted that some of our best performing original content comes from free-to-airs. ITV Studios made Rivals, for example.
I think we've heard of that one.
We would like, and what I really want to say is we want to do more of this. We think that free-to-air, as I say, partners are incredibly important for our business. We're part of the media ecosystem. We think that we can help to support free-to-airs in the future, and that will help our business as well.
Thank you, Karl. And what about from a YouTube perspective? How do you see that free-to-air but broader ecosystem?
Yeah. I mean, we're a distribution platform, and we work really closely with broadcasters. We've got a UK team who partners with the UK broadcasters, and that's really based on whatever their objectives are, whether that's reaching different audiences, incremental audiences, or it's driving revenue. So, I mean, the BBC's got over 300 YouTube channels. We partner very closely with studios to help build a brand like Bluey globally. ITV, we're testing a lot of different content formats. We're actually looking at the back catalogue, so it's interesting thinking about the archive and how you can monetize that. Actually, formats like Thunderbirds have done really well on YouTube. And I think the other area is the monetization piece. So we've got a partner sales program where essentially qualified broadcasters can sell their own inventory. So we sell it at a rate card. They can mark it up. They can bundle it with other packages, with TV inventory, and obviously sell it to our clients and media agencies as well.
So are you a sort of marketing arm for them?
We're a distribution platform. So it's, ultimately our job is to help them achieve what they want to do locally, but also globally. Tim was talking about export. We're a fantastic export opportunity. So on average, over 85% of views of creators and partners in the UK is outside of the UK, is abroad. So, thinking about that, us in that way and how businesses can sort of
And
build.
Kevin,
globally.
how do you observe YouTube and the kind of collaboration, I guess?
Oh, I
between
love
the two?
I love a bit of YouTube.
You do.
Do you?
Yes.
Just a bit.
You
Yeah.
observe it, alone.
No, I think there's a lot more cooperation and partnerships going on now, and there were certainly just 10 years ago. So we've got a thing going on with that. We take Disney content. We're hoping to do more. So I think there is an understanding between all what used to be competitors. And us and the BBC were a bit Canute-like for years, weren't we? We were a bit like, oh, no, keep them away, don't do anything. But I think attitudes have completely changed now, and we realise, certainly in ITV, we've got to be more proactive about where the audiences are. And so there are audiences on YouTube that will sort of never come to ITV. So let's do a partnership with them and put our programmes, many of which will be loved by the viewers who don't come see us and watch YouTube a lot. And that's what we're doing. So I think it's quite hopeful in that way, this
And
collaboration.
Alison, more and more people are watching YouTube on the big screen. The latest stats that suggest that people are in the living room, probably shared experience watching.
Yeah.
What are they actually watching on YouTube? Give us some genre specifics. What are people leaning into?
Leaning in, I mean, the great thing about YouTube is just the breadth of content, whether that is broadcast content or it's creator content. And interestingly, actually, we're seeing Gen Z is one of the fastest growing populations or demographics of podcasts. They're watching a lot of those on the TV, and a lot of those are over 30 minutes. So podcast is a sort of video podcast is a really interesting content
And
format.
may I ask, do we think that's a lean-in watch, or they're kind of listening almost wallpaper background?
It's a lean-in watch, and I mean obviously the sort of uniqueness of YouTube is you can toggle for podcasts between audio and video, so you can be watching it and then actually you can take the dog for a walk and sort of go to audio. But yeah, I mean it's a huge growth that we're seeing in the living room.
Fantastic. Rufus, any observations just in terms of how you interact with a YouTube or indeed other distribution platforms, and how they support your business?
Yeah, well, YouTube is a fundamental part of any marketing plan in terms of getting stuff out there. I mean, I know loads of people who discovered the assembly through YouTube.
Yeah.
Actually, Danny Dyer is often, I don't know whether it's on my TV, but Danny Dyer is always there.
The algorithm is working, Rufus.
But the algorithm is working. But it was a way of discovering that content that wouldn't have been there previously. So, I think I've got 4 young kids. They spend, YouTube is TV for them. And so we to Kevin's point, no one can be King Canute-like about it.
So Kevin, let's come back to you. You did mention good old Mr. Bates, if I can use the shortening, BAFTA winning, congratulations. But tell us, for this audience, I guess we're all probably intrigued as to how genuinely successful was that for ITV? How did you monetize that program? Did you make any money out of Mr. Bates?
Yeah, shitloads. I would say that there's two ways, remember. You put it out and take advertising money from it, and then there's the production side, and that's overseas sales and production fees and all the rest of it. So I think there's some confusion about Mr. Bates and money, because these shows now, and every producer knows this, it's harder and harder to find the budgets. All the budgets have gone up quite a lot. And so the international sales side, which is the sort of biggest funding mechanism outside the original commissioner, obviously, I've got this really exciting drama about a computer hitch in the British Post Office when you're talking to a Spanish buyer is not what else you got? But when the UK is in this wonderful position still, where when a show really works in the UK, everybody across the world knows about it and wants a piece of it and says, oh, it works in the UK, let's give it a go. So when this, it was a phenomenon, it was a sort of outlier, but when it snowballed and viewers came in there, millions and millions and millions for several months, the international sales did pick up. So yes, I'm sure, I don't know exactly, honestly, what the production side of it is, but I'm sure they've got their investment back and made a profit.
We're looking for a number in your answer.
30 million profit.
There you go. Noted.
Not very specific.
I think it was shitloads.
It was shitloads. That was the official stat. Rufus and Karl, let's come to you. So I guess back to the concept of how you interact with each other. STV, I guess, could we call you a traditional broadcaster? how do you share your content with Disney? How does that work? Of course, you've got your kind of content deal with ITV. And could you do more between the two of you?
Well, I mean, STV is well. We are a broadcaster, but we're also a content production studio as well. So we make stuff for lots of people, and then in Scotland we are a channel and a streamer as well. So, but we primarily take the Channel 3 ITV content. So we're slightly anomalous in that respect, but then we opt out for regional content. So STV News at 6 is the most watched news program in Scotland. It gets 30% share every night, and we have live debates from Hamilton by-elections as well. So we do all of that sort of stuff, but we don't have the sort of same relationship STV with Disney as ITV would have with Disney.
And what about for you at Disney, Karl? Because obviously you're commissioning local, regional content. How do you view that relationship or broader relationships? Do you continue to double down on local and regional, or are you mixing that in with global?
I mean, I think it's a very fundamental question. If you run a TV platform, you need to understand why people join and why people stay. And that's the framework through which I think about that. So because Disney has got such powerful brands and characters and stories and such emotional connections with consumers, what people expect us to have, and in large part why they join, is big family films, blockbusters, multi-generational dramas, so Moana, Inside Out, Andor, Loki. But when they join, what we actually see people watching for 2/3 of our hours is actually general entertainment. And that might be Shogun, great international hit. Might be Only Murders, might be The Kardashians. Extraordinary stories, maybe not to everyone's taste, but an absolutely incredible show. Now, local originals, interesting, are an important part of that. Now, historically, we may have thought about local originals as being more about engagement, but actually increasingly, they're also about why people join. So with Rivals, we had a big, buzzy hit. People talked about it across the country. That brought new audiences to Disney. In France, we had an extraordinary show some of you may know about called Bref. It was a reboot of a canal drama, an existential comedy about a man in his 30s going through a crisis. Remarkable show, brought a very large new number of people to Disney Plus. So I think really, when we think about what we offer, it has to be all of those. It's the branded content, it's the general entertainment, it's the local originals, it's content licensed locally, with a sort of red thread flowing through it of, this is about a great story, a great experience. If you switch on Disney Plus, you're going to find something which is great and high quality. And that means really it's the blend of all of those things.
And I think it has been quite a phenomenon. I don't think all of us would have expected to watch the Kardashians on a Disney-branded platform. So, congratulations to you. Let's pick up on sport. Dana talked about sport. There was reference earlier as well. That's clearly a genre that cuts across all of your platforms and your businesses. How do you see that in the mix, Alison? Is it still the big moment, shared experience, or are people getting bite-sized?
I mean, on YouTube, it's a real, combination. So, we're not in the market for UK media rights. So, in terms of like EPL, you wouldn't see the.
Will we see EPL at some point on YouTube?
No, I mean, what we have is we have all the shoulder content. So, for the broadcasters, we have the around the match content. We also have the clubs. So, clubs have huge YouTube subscriber numbers. Liverpool's got over 10 million. So, you've got that for the kind of EPL. WSL, actually, we work closely with them. So we've actually replaced the FA Player. So they're OTT. So for the matches that aren't on BBC and Sky, they're on YouTube. And I think the other aspect of YouTube is the smaller niche sports. I mean, you can literally find anything you want. So World Taekwondo, World Water Polo next week on YouTube if you're interested. And then there are just some brilliant niche sports like underwater hockey, codball, which was Quidditch. I mean, you could literally find whatever you want. And actually, just the final thing I'd say is what we are seeing also is this sort of merger between sport and entertainment. So I don't know how many of you heard about the Sidemen charity match, which was a football match at Wembley a couple of months ago that sold out Wembley in a couple of hours. So we're seeing that real fusion of sport and entertainment on the platform too.
Fascinating. Thank you, Alison. Kevin, how's sport going at ITV? What would you like to capture as a new sport property, if any?
Oh, I don't know. Champions League would be nice. I think.
You heard it here. You heard it here. There'll be a bid soon.
Yeah, I wish. Look, it's really important to us because it's because of the protected events that we share with the BBC, the Euros, the World Cup, etc. These are the biggest things when they're on, and so they're vitally important. When mass simultaneous reach, let's not forget that's in a sense our USP. Nothing does that as well as sport, as surefire to sport, where every show, frankly, goes down a bit each year. Even famous ones that we've been talking about, like Celebrity and Strictly and so forth. Football doesn't more than anything, and the rugby. The Six Nations is very important to us. So sport is absolutely vital in the mix for us.
Fantastic. We have the countdown clock giving us just a few more minutes, and I might get a chance to put up the lights and ask the audiences for a question. We talked about regulation. That came up in the prior fireside chats. Rufus, you've got regulators in the room and other representatives, other stakeholders. Any kind of magic wand you'd want to wave in the regulation to allow audiences to access even more and better?
Well, obviously, we're excited about the successful implementation of the Media Act. That will be good. I'm very pleased that the HFSS seems to be got a good glide path now. I suppose the one thing is a level playing field on adminatage, because people are watching, ad-funded services. The streamers have got advertising and PSBs have got advertising, and there isn't a level playing field on minuttage there. That seems something that would be a good opportunity to look at, I would say. Mm-hmm.
Any others want to offer a sort of magic wand, request, plea, observation in the regulation?
It's prominent. I think it's prominence for us in the BBC. I think, with so much choice, that what we offer is a bit different from everyone else, and that needs to be front of mind, front of view when you turn your telly on.
Certainly for PSBs, as you say. Brilliant. Well, listen, just a quick fire one before I ask the audience. I'll probably get one question if you think of it. What content or program do you envy from anyone else on this panel? I might start with you, Alison. What would you want to grab from someone else?
Well, we're not a content creation company. As a distribution platform, personally, what I've really rate over the last years, actually, you mentioned Shogun. And Rivals,
Rivals.
nod to ITV Studios and Disney Plus as well. We've got the sort of the around the content, but yeah.
Vice versa,
I do
Karl,
love a
what
series.
would you spot from others to add to your library?
So our audience skews very Gen Z and young millennial. So actually, I'd quite like Midsummer Murders.
You can
because
have
it skews quite a lot older, and it would bring in new audiences.
It was.
Deals
Broad,
being done
premium,
live. This is
returnable.
Yeah. We've got a lot of true crime on YouTube as well.
Kevin, as the master of sort of content commissioning, what do you...
The master?
Yes. What do you fancy from
Well, I
someone else?
watched lots of stuff. Last night I finished off Mobland, which I enjoyed. I finished off The Last of Us, which I didn't really. I got a bit pissed. Something else, Coronation Street, of course.
Did we catch Mountainhead? Anyone?
Mountainhead.
Mountainhead, the latest Jesse Armstrong.
Oh my God, no.
Okay, well you can think about that later.
Okay.
Rufus, what would you want to? What would you pay for?
What would I? Well, no, I look, free to air is where it's at. Just to be clear, it would be great. Love Island on STV would be good, wouldn't it?
Filmed on a Scottish island.
No comment.
Right, we have literally 1 minute, so it's risky. But let's open it up to the floor. Let's see if there's any. There's luminaries up here. Stick your hand up. Someone's pointing over here. Yes, in the middle. Yeah, microphone's coming to you. Quick if you can.
Alison, Karl, question for both of you. As AI becomes increasingly...
Can you just introduce yourself?
Oh, Raj from Virgin Media 2. Just wanted to ask, as AI becomes increasingly sophisticated, Alison, is YouTube tempted to be a bit more content in the content creation space to monetize eyeballs? And Karl, for you, what's Disney's stance on integrating AI into storytelling without losing creative integrity and loyalty of people that you've had for a very long time?
Thank you for that. Let's come to Alison first.
So, AI is very much integrated into the ad formats already. So, that's absolutely sort of focused on monetizing and optimizing goals for our advertisers and also content creators as well, because it's obviously part of the connected to the flywheel of the more advertising, then the more that our creators can earn from the YouTube Partner Program as well, because they get the majority of revenue.
And Karl, what about AI for content?
So AI is an extraordinary tool for content creators. My view is that in an AI world, the power of storytelling and the importance of the story is only going to get greater.
There you go. That was short. That was pithy.
Yeah.
Please thank this fabulous panel talking about audiences for you.